Good morning. Our project is restoring Newberg High's trail. I'm Paul Myers.
I'm John McCarthy.
I'm Kennedy Rainey.
I'm Rico Furkitich.
And I'm Todd Holloman. What are invasives? Invasives are any organism that have been introduced into an area that they are not indigenous to. These plants and animals often outcompete native flora and fauna. Even if plants don't directly compete with wildlife, they often make the habitat unsuitable for both land animals and aquatic organisms. This in turn disrupts the food web, allowing invasives to further take over an area.
Our project is focused on restoring Newberg High School's wilderness trail by removing two major invasive species, reed canary grass and Himalayan blackberries, and these invaders make bad neighbors. Well, these two plant species have taken over the entirety of the trail, and it is our job to provide a plan that will fix this is our intent to provide a plan that will provide environmentally sound ways to remove these noxious weeds.
Himalayan blackberries. Himalayan blackberries is an evergreen shrub with canes covered in thorns and berries that are edible for humans. It can grow in a variety of environments and often is found along roadsides, riverbanks, parks, and other disturbed areas. Himalayan blackberry shades out smaller native species, reducing native plant and wildlife diversity. It was introduced intentionally into North America on the East Coast in 1885 for the tasty blackberries. Blackberry fruit can be a food source for invasive animals and mammals, such as European starling and rats.
Reed canary grass was introduced into Oregon in 1918. It was introduced in order to provide a food source for livestock in wet and marshy areas. The major problem associated with reed canary grass is its habit of creating large thickets due to its rhizomatous propagation method. This thicket here will actually cover this entire pond, the stream, regardless of flowing water. It'll be completely covered within 2 months. There are very few, if any, native grasses left in this area.
So what's behind this little area? A few years ago, this area used to be 12 acres of a forestry lab. Then, in 2006, our school district decided to turn 6 of these acres into softball fields for our school. Now, the 5.87 acres remaining is a riparian area with a thin canopy comprised of white oak, white ash, cottonwood, and big leaf maples. This thin canopy allows sunlight to penetrate into the ground floor and fuel the sunlight required for the Himalayan blackberry and reed canary grass to thrive. These invasive weeds provide shelter and habitat for the American bullfrog and nutria in marshy areas, which in turn damage the ecosystem.
What's at stake? Well, because our Newberg School District has a no-spray policy, we cannot spray these invasive weeds, which runs into Hess Creek in the Willamette River, which runs through a residential area. Also, we cannot use heavy machinery because it will disrupt the soil, which then will cause soil erosion.
Since we're unable to spray, we propose the use of natural and manual controls. These natural and manual controls are comprised of goats, which will eat the foliage and new growth, manual removal, which will get the older cane growth and cut the canary grass down to its crown, and kill mulch, which will stop any new weeds from germinating.
Leave it to the goats. Goats are an effective way to clear all new cane growth on blackberries, as well as all the foliage. While it is true that goats are an ineffective way to clear older cane growth, by removing all new cane growth and foliage, they help eliminate new plants, disrupt older plants' ability to photosynthesize, and free up space. Because they are low maintenance, it doesn't require a lot of manual labor, which makes for a cost-effective way to clear the invasive species out of the area which saves money for us to pay for other methods of control that we will go over later, as well as the native plants that we would plant in the area. Now, goats are not effective against canary grass because canary grass was introduced for feed for livestock.
Manual removal. Now, it's thorough, volunteer work helps, and it provides an outlet for students to develop a work ethic. Well, one of the problems, though, is it doesn't fully get the roots, which is very vital to stop weed invasion. Which leads us to our next slide.
Kill mulch is an underused weed control method. Kill mulch is a thick layer of cardboard laid over the cut crowns of a weed. So for example, with the last picture, if we had roots of blackberries still, it would still set up new growth. But the thick layer of cardboard prevents the new growth from going through. It also prevents any seeds from germinating. On top of this cardboard, we'll layer soil in which we'll plant natives. These natives will create a root layer that once the cardboard rots away, any seeds that are left in the soil will not germinate through. So the cardboard creates better soil by composting the weeds that are beneath it, and in turn also prevents weed growth. Can I go next? Oh, no, that's not okay. Our budget for this is relatively low. We have a student at Newberg High that will provide us with goats for $750 per grazing period. This grazing period can be as little as 2 weeks up to 3 months. The price will remain the same. He will also provide secure fencing for no additional charge. The cardboard is free from a local recycling plant, and all native plants will be donated by the Newberg High Horticultural Program. This provides the horticultural program with good press as well as quality plants for our forest.
Our prepared plan involves 3 years. Our first year, we will bring in goats that will eat the Himalayan blackberries and the reed canary grass. Then we will cut back anything that the goats did not eat. Later, we will lay down kill mulch to stop any new growth. Then, we will plant natives on top of the kill mulch to create a rooting layer. And the natives would be white ash, willows, and white oak. Our second year, we would bring back the goats, and once again we would cut back any new growth. Finally, our third year, we plan to replant more natives that were funded by the Horticulture and Agricultural Natural Resources Program. And now I'd like to direct your attention to the references that helped us build this project.
We're the Newberg FFA Envirothon team.
And we would like to thank you.
For letting us share our proposed plan.
On restoring Newberg High School's trail.
And one final thank you.